Hello and welcome to a very special Cinephiles, the world's greatest John Cena film review program. And I was just hearing my own echo in my voice because I was testing something, so that's fun. But we are here and we are joined by a very special guest. But I will start with the standard spiel first, because we are here to discuss the cinematic career of the Doctor of Thugonomics, the 16-time world champion, best-selling author, TV show host, guy who said a thing that he had to walk back, and it was cringe that he walked it back as Taiwan is a country, and he is an overall sentient meme machine, John Cena. But today, we are also joined by the epic Alyssa Mercante, who is both an editor at Games Radar and an excellent Twitch streamer in her own right. Follow her now at twitch.tv/ALYSSAMERC. Alyssa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be involved in this. I don't have a Cena shirt, so I wore my Rock shirt.
Hey,
it
nobody's
in comparison.
Yeah, I've yet to wear
good.
a Cena shirt on this podcast, almost a running gag. I'm wearing a Sting shirt that I just got in the mail because some days you just let your inner goth kid out. But we will start, as we always do, with the standard question. How do you remember learning about one John Cena? What was your... And hello, Jackie. Welcome to the stream. Always a pleasure. How did you learn about one John Felix Anthony Cena, I believe is his full name?
I believe the gentleman who is, I think he's fluent in Mandarin. He came on my radar after I had kind of stopped watching wrestling. And I remember just like seeing him walk in and being like, oh, fuck, this isn't The Rock. And then he just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, he is like the Rock. He's just John Cena.
You know, his nickname at one point was the Prototype, but it turned out The Rock was the prototype all along. Or maybe the friends we made were the prototypes all along. But who knows? Because we are here to talk about the 2018 film Blockers, directed by Kay Cannon. It debuted at Sundance. Not Sundance, South by Southwest, which is a much more appropriate festival for this movie than Sundance. But
I mean, it's art. It could have debuted.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Walter. But Mike, we are going to do the next thing we always do, because we are nothing if not creatures of ritual. Welcome to the Wikipedia Corner. What do you got for us, Mike?
So today on Mike's Wikipedia Corner, some fun facts about Blockers 2018. So this film had a budget of $21 million with a box office of $94 million. So pretty profitable film. Very good critical response. According to Wikipedia, it was praised for its humor and performances, as well as for its intelligence and empathy, not often found in the genre, which we'll get into a bit. I think we would all agree on that. This movie, I believe, is the second highest rated movie we've talked about on Cinephiles so far in terms of the Rotten Tomato score. So it is sitting at an 84% on the tomato meter, certified fresh. Still not quite at the level of Bumblebee, which we talked about last week, which is sitting at, I think, a 90. But very good critical response, pretty good in the box office. Great success all around, and as we'll get into, just an all-around wonderful comedy film about sex.
So, Alyssa, when you hear all this about Blockers, are you surprised that it did? Like, do you think it should have done better? Like, did you have this movie on your radar at all before? Hey, Magan, welcome to the stream. Sorry to interrupt myself, but when I asked you if you would be up for this movie, you had not seen it before. Is that correct?
I had not seen Blockers before.
So what did you think about Blockers what did you know about Blockers going into it? Because the name's weird, right?
Yeah, so it was that was 2018. I was mid-divorce, so I was very busy blocking other things in my life. And I just remember, I think like one trailer for it, I actually think that the trailers for it don't do it as much justice, because I remember seeing the trailer and being like, oh, it's like cock blockers and parents. I think you kind of tread like a dangerous territory when you make a movie. Like my friend was here last night when I was finishing it, and she was like, wait, what is this about? And I'm like, it's not like that. It's not like it gets better. And like, I think I remember just being like, oh, ew, no. And it kind of like left my life as quickly as it entered.
And
I have to throw in here. This movie does hold a lot of sentimental value to me. This is the first movie that Henry and I saw together in theaters.
Oh.
Like the first movie, first movie period. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
definitely the first.
well, we
and
might
it
have seen
basically-
movies in groups. Like this is the first one that we just went to with ourselves. It's not like
Yes.
the time we saw the Pokemon movie that I made a really inappropriate laugh during when there was a a blacklight joke that I think I came up with
Yes.
on my own.
I think that was, and I think even that was after Blockers. But yeah, this is the first movie you and I saw together in a theater, and it kicked off our tradition of seeing all of John Cena's movies as they came out, and by proxy kicked off this podcast. So,
Oh my God, I'm honored to be involved.
We are so happy to have you here, and the tradition, I should add, continues because New York isn't just back, but the cinemas are back. And tomorrow night we are going to see one Mr. Dominic Toretto get reunited with his younger brother Jacob Toretto, because you live life 1/4 mile at a time, because family is the most important thing. And I
watched all of those films this week.
I was about to say,
I still have F8 to go, but
you watched 7 Fast movies in less than 7 days.
Yeah, give or take. And it's right in the name, Fast and Furious. Definitely was not crying at the end of Furious 7. Couldn't be me. But
Who?
that song, no,
Yeah.
that song is a permanent
We're
dusty.
yeah.
we're
No, I
currently
knew it was
trying...
gonna mess me up, but it just actually, once I got there, it was over.
Yeah, we're we have a movie a cinema fan in my house who looks down on Fast and Furious, and it's a point of contention amongst me and my partner. And so I made him watch Fast 5 the other day because I said, and I think it's the best one.
Oh, yeah.
And it's 100% the best one. And
It makes the least sense, kind of. The intro is so convoluted yet empty. Like, it's the weirdest intro of any movie I can remember, but it's still the best because it embraces everything. Like, It's the best Fast movie. It's not the best movie of them all, but it's the best pure injection of nitrous that you can have.
Absolutely.
Or NOS, as the kids say.
And Fast and Furious, hilariously enough, is relevant to Blockers, which we'll get into later in the film. I thought there was I found that to be some hilarious foreshadowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But let's jump right into the movie. Speaking of Blockers, we start out with a really wholesome flashback because, okay, I'll admit it, even this scene got me. Like, there are a couple scenes in this movie that get me in the stupid, oversized heart because Leslie Mann is dropping her daughter off at school. Her character's name is Lisa. Her daughter's name is Julie. And Julie is nervous about going to school. Is she going to have any friends? Is she not? Who knows? I'm going to turn the ring light on because it's getting dark in here, so keep on all my clothes. But basically, her daughter instantly meets 2 other kids. Everybody becomes friends. And then we realize that Lisa's going to have some new friends too, because there's a man behind her named Mitchell, who is John Cena, but dressed in the most squarish J. Crew catalog or like LL Bean catalog way possible. I'm not going to spoil the best insult about Mitchell for this movie, but it's real. You already know where I'm going there. But Mitchell is crying a little, and he introduces himself as, "I'm Mitchell, Kayla's hero." So we learn that his daughter's name is Kayla. And then there's Ike Barinholtz, a very over-the-top man by the name of Hunter. And, Mike, we've never met a Hunter who is over-the-top and inappropriate, have we?
No, definitely not. And this is before we knew our Hunter, so I thought that was some pretty funny foreshadowing that we were about to get one of our very own one of those. Pretty good stuff.
And Hunter wants a drink, and nobody's listening to him. It's 9:30 in the morning. Jackie asks a very good question. When is Hunter making an appearance on Cinephiles? And you know what? I think Hunter might be the perfect guest for the Peacemaker episodes when HBO Max debuts Peacemaker. Or we might bring Hunter in for what we were referring to possibly as the cameo clip show, where we go through, out of context, every John Cena role that was too small to merit an episode, and only watch... that's a good question. Is it ever legal to have Hunter anywhere? Have they legalized Hunter?
It's a gray area. A lot of loopholes. A lot of gotta break a couple rules.
But
we'll get.
we have a
in there
montage
eventually, for
of
sure.
we have a montage of Lisa and Julie growing up, and all of a sudden it's prom night, motherfuckers. And Lisa is gonna want a FaceTime call from prom, and Julie is rightfully worried what her mom is gonna do without her. And because, I mean, Mike and I we are people who have mothers in our own particular relationships. We have to ask Alyssa, how does this mother-daughter relationship ring to you in terms of, is it too much? Is it realistic? How crazy is this?
I was the daughter of very strict parents. So I think if I was a little bit closer to the actual age of these characters, like, and my mother was by some chance single, she would have been exactly how Lisa is. I think there's a part where she's like spitballing all these ideas about why she shouldn't be having sex, and they're kind of over the top and ridiculous. And I think someone asks if they can lie about whether or not this does that, and that was my mom. Like, my mom crafted a lie when she knew I was going to lose my virginity because I had a boyfriend for a year, so that I wouldn't. And it didn't work because I just Googled it. No, I asked Jeeves.
Oh wow!
Oh wow, the OG Google.
I was like, this seems like it doesn't make sense. I think she told me that the HPV shot, which was like a thing for it started becoming a thing. Yeah. And obviously they were telling every parent, you know, the Gardasil commercials, I want to be one less, like the protect your kids kind of thing. My mom was like, you know, she's not an anti-vaxxer, bless her heart. She was like, she's going to get it. And she cornered me and was like, it doesn't work if you're not a virgin. And there was 3 shots you had to get over 3 months, so you know she was doing the math. She's like, oh, I've got a lot more time. And I just looked it up, and I lost my virginity the day after I got my shot. Mom.
There you go. Sorry, Mama Mercante.
The more you know.
Mi dispiace.
So Henry, can I talk about my the most incredible early scene in this film?
Yeah.
So that's the setup. The 3 kids grew up together. The parents got close. They're getting ready for prom, and we get our first scene with Mitchell and his wife Marcy, and Mitchell is holding a pair of pink panties over his face, walking up to her saying, "Paging Dr. Muff Diver."
Like he's Jaws, like he's doing that.
Yep, he's slowly approaching her. He says later, he's like stuffing the panties in his mouth. He's like, later tonight, I'm tearing these off with my teeth. And Marcy goes, "Those are your daughters." And then he immediately spits them out, and he's completely disgusted. He's like, "What is she, a stripper? Like, am I supposed to give her allowance in singles?" Which was just such an incredible way to introduce this character.
And as the movie is wont to do, Marcy was the voice of moral reason here, and said, "You thought it was okay if they were mine?" And we have this sort of like Greek chorus throughout the movie of like realistic parents judging the 2 and then 3 overreactive parents. But then after that, we don't get time with Hunter and his daughter Sam for reasons we'll learn sooner or later. Instead, we get to meet the kids, and Julie is. There's a rule about John Cena movies. There is always going to be a horny character. And Julie is the first of them in this movie because she is ravenously all over her boyfriend at his locker and slaps him on the ass as he walks away. And she's overthinking prom. And at some point, she's just talking to her friend Kayla. And she goes, because she's going to light some candles at prom. And goes, that candle that gets me horny, you know? And Kayla responds.
The candle from Walgreens. Yeah, specifically the candle from Walgreens.
Yep. Kayla responds, all candles get me horny. And to that I say, cheers.
For the audio listeners, Henry's got the mood set right now with a very nice candle.
It is a double wicked candle from
double wick.
One of the wicks just went out, but it's from Cantrip Candles, which puts a 20-sided D&D die at the bottom of every one of their larger. And their Cantrip Candles is awesome. They sell out because everything sells out online. It's not just the PlayStation 5. But then we meet Connor, Kayla's boyfriend. Or at least we look at him from across the room, and Kayla's not sure about having sex with him, and they talk about his penis. And they're all weird. Penises are not for looking at, they're for use, like a plunger, is a line I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, again, I hate to do this, but Mike and I don't really, guys don't talk about this sort of thing. Alyssa, is this how girls in high school talk about guys' dicks?
Yeah, I would say yeah. I mean, you're also not really looking at them that much at that point. Like, you're not like, if you're seeing it and you're gonna get involved with it, you're not really studying it. I think it's not until you hit your late 20s, early 30s that you become you become a fan of the dick in itself, a connoisseur.
Also, the whole like dick pic era was that a thing yet at high school?
Yeah, I mean, it was just starting to become a thing, and an out of context dick is horrifying. It's like it's like a Lovecraftian demon, and you don't want to see it.
It's
so yeah,
they also just didn't hit the same on Nokia phones with like
no, like your pixelated dick.
0.5 megapixel cameras.
Yeah, hard pass. That's a hard pass for me.
The lighting would be really difficult.
Always bad.
Yep.
You don't got a ring. I mean, now the kids these days, they got ring lights.
Connoisseur. Good one. Good one. That's I always forget. That's Dave, right? That DJ Masson, that's you, Dave, right?
That is Dave. That is our
Okay.
good buddy Dave. Yeah.
Hey, Dave. So we meet their third friend, who is Hunter's daughter, Sam, and she doesn't feel that ready. Specifically about Chad, because Chad is an interesting fellow that, I kind of feel in a sort of spirit animal kind of way with at times. He is a what you call. I mean, I was never a fedora guy, but he is the fedora guy. But he's not a snobby fedora guy. He's like, I want to be the life of the party fedora guy. He's a lovable ginger scamp. But even though Sam's dating him, we get the camera and the audio does a pretty good job of highlighting that Sam has a crush on this girl, who we later learn is named Angelica, and she is like the coolest hipster of the entire school.
And if we need further proof that Sam is possibly into girls, the very next scene is Sam in her bedroom, photoshopping herself next to Xena, the warrior princess,
photoing herself onto Gabrielle's face.
And it's one of those little subtle scenes. There's so many tiny scenes in this movie that just absolutely kill me. And it's just like, as she's doing, it's this terrible Photoshop. It's just whispering to herself, so realistic. And like, it was just one of those little things that I found absolutely incredible.
But Sam has to go downstairs because her mother and her mother's boyfriend want to take photos for prom. Because remember, it's prom day. And her mother's boyfriend is played by Hannibal Buress, who is trying to learn how to use his phone and just yells, "Siri, video, please." In the moment, I was wanting to correct myself. I stopped myself saying, it's called "Hey Siri." It's not even the right trigger word. But Jan, her mom, her mom and her boyfriend are counseling Sam about life after. They're worried. You're worried you're gonna lose your friends, and then her mom says, "You never keep your friends after college." The only friend I stayed with, and then her boyfriend goes, "Jan," and she describes Jan, her friend, and her boyfriend goes, "Oh yeah, racist Jan." And we have this instant like, okay, everything will be said in this. But Hannibal Buress' character remembers prom really vividly, really important, because that was the night they got their friend to enlist in the army where he died. And cut to... Sorry.
I was just going to say shout out to Hannibal Buress, who is just brilliant as Frank. And just in the most like positive but deadpan guy. He's like, yeah, he died immediately. But, that experience really brought us together.
Does the most with a little bit. And we cut to the most unrealistic cake order ever. Like, I had forgotten about this cake. The boob cake, as it was. And Julie comes in. Her mom's trying to cover up these overly graphically overshaped breasts of all the three daughters. And she doesn't notice the design at first. But it turns out she's gotten into UCLA, and she's hiding it from her mom. Austin, her boyfriend, the one she's all horn dog for, got into UCLA. But mom doesn't want her to go to UCLA because they're in Chicago. And Lisa is very worried about her going away. But Julie notices the cake, and then instantly we hear basically the NBA playoff sound. Because, like, Alyssa, how would you describe, what would life have been like, do you think, to be Mitchell's daughter?
Oh. You'd like to think that like, you're that parent, you're the cool parent. And then it turns out that he is the cool parent. You know, like
Eventually.
he is.
Takes a while to get there. Yeah.
Yeah, but like he is pretty cool. I mean, I would crawl into a hole and die several times.
If your father was doing the NBA playoffs intro to introduce you for prom,
Yeah.
and he gets
I see. I heard it more maybe because of how my brain is, but I heard it more as like a wrestling intro.
oh, it's
like
a
the
little
way
bit of
he
both,
was-
but it was using the audio, I believe, from like when the
Oh, yep,
Knicks would
yep.
do the introductions during
Yep.
like the late mid '90s NBA playoffs. It was like that dun 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 dun. I can't do that audio, right? And I don't want to get another DMCA takedown. So we're gonna move past that to talk about Lisa, Mitchell, and Hunter haven't really been friends this whole time. Actually, while their children got together, Mitchell's been trying to get Lisa to do hot yoga. She doesn't do hot yoga. And now we get our first bit of incredible plot device as iMessage on a laptop becomes an important part of a movie, I believe, for the first time in cinematic history. But Mike, I believe you have something to say about coconut oil.
Oh yeah. So before we get to the big little backyard party before the prom, we have a great scene where I believe Kayla hands Julie some coconut oil. She says use it for lube, and I'm gonna quote it as closely as I can. She says it'll make a dick taste like almond joy, and Julie says, "Thank God it doesn't taste like mounds. I'd rather eat 10 dicks than one mound." And the way she delivered it, so deadpan and so serious, I was crying. It was incredible.
Coconut oil is good for lube, but you can never have. You're not really supposed to use it unless it's like in a squeeze form, because you can get bacteria in it if you keep putting your hand in there, as my stripper friend taught me.
There you go. So taking just a Ziploc bag of it is not.
That seems that's okay if you're not going to double dip in it. If you double dip in it, that's a problem.
It looks
Especially, as she said, if you have long nails and you go in the jar,
okay.
and your nails have. So just for everyone trying to use that.
The more you know.
Yeah.
The thing is, I almost thought the presentation of the lube in a Ziploc bag was just supposed to be a different kind of reference, because it just looked like a white
It was
substance.
Coke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was an unknown white substance in a Ziploc bag, and like thick enough to be cocaine.
Yeah.
That was my reaction as
Coke.
well.
Yeah.
Damn.
And then here comes Hunter, sticking out of a limo with fireworks
Oh.
and Teo Cruz playing, because
Iconic college song.
this movie showed me in a few times how old I am. Like,
Right.
if you were to say iconic college song for me, I'm just like, Bad Romance, that Arcade Fire
It was in the
album.
end of college for me, honestly. When did Dynamite come out?
Yeah, like, but Hunter greets everybody, and he walks up to Mitchell and Lisa, and he tries for a lean-in kiss with Lisa. That's way too far of a lean-in. And then all of a sudden, we learn that he is a fan of a certain kind of pornography. He's really way too willing to share his corner of Pornhub with the rest of the table.
So the setup for that is like, so Mitchell tells Hunter that he just had a second kid. Hunter's like, yeah, I'm thinking about having a second one, going a second round. And then Mitchell's like, or you could actually raise the kid you have. And Mitchell's talking about like the kind of psychic connection that him and Kayla have because they're so close. And Hunter's like, I hope Sam and I don't have that because she'd be seeing a lot of Asian porn. And then to which Mitchell says, my wife's Asian. And then we get that really uncomfortable, like,
It's that- No, not that kind
She's
of
Indian.
Asian.
Yeah.
It's
So this-
amazingly inappropriate, and
So
This
Hunter,
movie does a good job with that, though. They give you like that kind of classic, like inappropriate, like, oh, not an Asian joke. And then they
Yeah.
completely, like, right in the same bit, they get someone being like, well, yeah, like, also my wife's Asian. Like, what are you saying?
and then they
Yeah.
turn it again by doing like
Yeah.
the redefining what Asian. It was very well done.
yeah, despite being a feminist icon, Hunter is not as great with race, but
No,
he's getting there.
we're getting there.
Nope. But then Lisa finds the UCLA application in Julie's room. Oh, and Hunter hates Hannibal Buress' character because for no apparent reason other than he's just the new guy. But Lisa is in Julie's room, finds the UCLA admission, and because she's snooping, grabs the laptop and starts looking through the text messages because iMessage is open. By this point, Mitchell has seen Connor. Mitchell does not like Connor. Connor is the his dick might look weird boyfriend or love interest for Kayla. And he gives Kayla a small knife, a tiny, tiny knife, and teaches her stab, turn, clutch for how to take a man down. But then Hunter, love him, takes photos with Chad in the most over-the-top, like, he wants to be the cool dad way. They do, like, the back-to-back spy movie.
Yeah.
Oh, Chad looks like Patrick Stump.
Yes, he really does. Like 2005 Patrick Stump.
As soon as I saw him, I was like, this guy's rocking Patrick Stump.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the fedora, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's like vintage, like Sugar We're Going Down.
Yes.
And Chad pops a bottle in the limo because they are off to the prom race. And then at this point, the girls are in the back of the limo, and it turns out they are sending some very suggestive emojis. And we learn that because Lisa is looking at the texts with Mitchell, and neither of them get it. And when you see this, people on the audio channel, what do you think this means? Mitchell thinks it's all of my friends are A-okay with me.
Yeah, I mean that's what that emoji means. The eggplant emoji just means that you're Italian. And the
eggplant parmesan.
Yeah, exactly. There's an incredible moment of Lisa and Mitchell trying to decipher the iMessages. They don't understand it. Of course, Hunter knows all the lingo because he's a huge pervert. Shout out to Hunter.
And he says, "Wait, you don't know Yas Queen?"
Yeah, it's like Yas Queen. And then there's one. They call out the drooly face, and Hunter's like, "You wish that was drool. That's cum, my man." And Hunter says, "Well, I think they're making a sex pact." And then 2 messages later, hashtag sex pact 2018. So there you go.
Man, I'm really lucky and fortunate that like smartphones weren't a big thing when I was in high school or college. Like barely at the tail end of college, smartphones were big. But like, I was so fortunate. But we're about to get another call back. But before we can get that to another Cena movie, but before we get that, Hunter is trying to talk Mitchell and Lisa off the ledge. He's trying to say this. Who cares if they're having sex? It's whatever. And then he tries to stop them, and we get the most comical slapstick of the entire movie, I would say, because Hunter is trying to stop them from driving. And what happens, Mike, when Hunter is trying to roll up the window? Okay,
the whole sequence.
Alyssa?
Yeah, you could take this, Alyssa.
John Cena.
Yes. No.
Yes,
the whole bit of the show
Cena,
is slipping into calling him John Cena.
Puts his hand on the closing window, and what does he say? You're not something.
Like you're not the Incredible Hulk or something like that?
Yeah, he says you're not the Incredible Hulk because he's trying to push the window down while he's rolling it up. And he can push it down. He pushes it down all the way, completely, because he's John Cena, and he can.
Like, this is the time in the movie, if this were the Flintstones or Scooby-Doo movie, that his actual WWE music would have played in the background. And yes. I just realized that me and Mike's video boxes were changed, so our socials were under the wrong video. So I just fixed that.
We're interchangeable.
But hey, the thing is, Hunter proves that he's the cool dad because he knows that Sam is gay. Nobody else does in the entire movie at this point. Sam maybe knows. But Hunter is just like, no, it's what it is. Like, Chad, he's like whatever a lesbian beard is. A merkin is the dialogue. And it's like, Hunter, way to redeem yourself for that weird shit earlier. And
I love, like, we get the recurring theme of, like, you know, we start to understand why Lisa's so protective of Julie. And she's like, well, what if she does something like, you know, dropping out of college to follow the Dave Matthews Band with the guy she thinks she loves, and then he gets her pregnant and leaves her for the girl that makes fancy grilled cheese, like clearly talking about herself. And that's a recurring theme throughout the movie, that she just doesn't want that to happen to Julie. But
to which Hunter says, that's not possible. Dave's not even on tour right now. He's taking time off for himself because Hunter doesn't get it. And now we're at prom, And because John Cena was just, or is about to be in Bumblebee, of course, the song of the three friends is a Haley Steinfeld song. Haley Steinfeld, the star of Bumblebee. So this is the smallest cinematic universe.
It's a cinematic universe, yeah.
Yes. But yeah, Sam's crush Angelica is there wearing a badass like, what's that? It would be like satin or crushed velvet.
I think it's velvet.
Yeah, this badass velvet cape and tiara kind of thing. Kind of looks like some outfit that like a much, I don't know. I was like, what kind of high school? Okay, kids today. But Angelica revealed that she broke up with Lauren. And then they both talk about, like, when you're not sure that you're into girls or guys. Angelica refers to the first time she touched a penis as holding a dead snake. And I'm like, when do you hold a dead snake? Like, that's okay. And then
just one of those things, yeah.
She casually
you
touches...
never know until you try.
Okay. She casually touches Sam's hair to flirt with her and walks away.
Yeah, that was that touch made me and my partner who were both watching go, oh, that was a sexy touch. And then I immediately had to Google all of them and make sure they were legal at the time this was shot, so I didn't come off like a weirdo. They were.
Oh, that is I think a ritual and rite of passage.
You did more research than we did.
I know multiple people in my life who have sent me screenshots of ex-actors' age in a movie. It's a thing that is done. It's a rite of passage as you get older. You don't do that when you're younger, but you do that when you get older. Just you want to make sure that you're not. It's like, okay, this young person...
You don't want to end up on a list.
No.
No.
You're watching this Quentin Tarantino movie and it's lingering on somebody's toes for way too long. You need to know how
12.
old that person... Yeah. I don't think she was 12. I don't think the girl from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was 12. Hopefully.
Margaret.
Yeah, the one with that name.
Yeah. Well, I did Google them all, and I can tell you one thing that I'm really proud to have a connection with is that Austin is a former lover of Ariana Grande.
Oh,
that's right.
They used to date.
Super familiar.
He looks like he should have been in like 3 movies that Zac Efron would have gotten if he was younger.
Yeah, and he's 28. Like, he's older than all of them. So he must have been like 26, 27 when they shot this.
Yeah, he looks like he should be in a jeans commercial. Like, he has...
Oh, yeah, he's handsome.
Yeah.
Graham Phillips, who was also in Atypical on Netflix, a very good show.
Oh.
Playing a very similar type of character. I think he was kind of a bully for most of it. But she has the perfect look for that. But he's kind of the sweet, cool kid in this one.
That's the thing about...
and it's nice to see that.
Like, that character is proven out over the rest of the movie as much... Like, you have such low expectations for, like, oh, the boyfriend of the blonde... Yes, but also the boyfriend of the blonde who is seemingly trying to recreate Mina Suvari's role in a certain movie we'll get to later. But then Hunter Connor, Kayla's potential lover, is super casual about the fact that he made his own gin, and he's got it in a flask. And we learn a little bit about why Connor's this way. But Hunter is still arguing with the parents back home. He's trying to empower the daughters. The other parents don't give a damn. But, like, what is it like? Is it too... I just kept watching this movie thinking, how... Parents would do this, right? Or is this that's the point that they are just...
I was gonna ask how this film compared to your guys' prom experiences.
The vastly different social strata that normally exists in high school that's erased in this is really cool. Like the fact that the 3 girls are pretty different, and the people that they brought with them to prom are very different, and they're all cool in the limo. Like, that's unheard of. Like, It was a huge thing who was in the limo, and if we knew them, and there was this one guy who my friend was bringing who I didn't like because he always used to look like he was like one step away from like bringing a weapon to school, and he was in my prom limo. It was nothing like my prom.
My prom was I went without a date, but I went with a bunch of my friends in their limo. One of my friends at the time was dating the guy who had already starred in Finding Forrester, the actor known as Rob Brown, who has been in a television show on NBC.
Oh,
So he was the man now dog during Prom.
Wow.
Prom was whatever. It was at that Brooklyn venue that's always on ads on like local television. You ever seen those commercials where it's like the grand ballroom of Brooklyn, blah 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 blah. That's where our prom was. But the biggest part of and so our limo was sort of like a fairly not like this, but it was like the guy who barely does athletics and this actor and like it was but the biggest part of the prom was getting lost on the way to the after party in the Hamptons. We just got lost to death, and because MapQuest wasn't a thing really back then, and we spent most of that night at a 7-Eleven or near a 7-Eleven or two.
So there's one parallel with this film.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, your prom?
Mine was pretty tame. Yeah, I mean, I went with my best friends. I also went without a date, and two of my best friends in my limo also were without dates. And my friend's mom made a hilarious, sweet comment like, "Oh, the three most handsome boys in school are going to prom without a date," and she was right. I mean, it was accurate. But that was prom was fun. I was pretty like, I don't know. That might have been like the first time I really drank in a significant way. Nothing crazy happened, but I feel like I was pretty late to that stuff.
So I
remember that being one of my first like nights actually getting drunk. And we ended up at a karaoke bar, which is always a good time, or or bad time, however you want to look at it. But it was a good time. It was a pretty standard prom experience, I thought. No butt chugging, no parents
spoilers.
Take me away. Yeah, foreshadowing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was prom.
So they're talking about what they want to do to get the mood right, and I believe Kayla or Julie says the other, just light 2 Walgreens candles, because that's all you need to know. And they're leaving prom. They're gonna go have sex. But right as they're leaving, the parents walk right in. Hunter, ever the cool dad, sees them, says nothing to nobody. He does not snitch on his daughter. He does not tell anybody else. And then I have a quote in my notes. I need to figure out if anybody else remembers what it's from. "Look at me, my hair's too long." It's weird and out of context, but that's what Mitchell says to the other kids.
He hates Connor, or who he thinks is Connor.
Yeah, he walks up to a guy with long hair and he goes, and he goes, "You go here?" And because the kid thinks he could be, and he's like, "No, look at me, my hair is too long." No, he's saying your hair is too long. My hair, he thinks his buzz cut is too long. But Sam kisses Chad, and Hunter sees that. And that's what breaks Hunter's brain, because he thinks that peer pressure has convinced Sam that she is not who he knows she is to be. And then he argues with Mitchell and Lisa and tells them that their kids corrupted his daughter, to which Lisa says, "My daughter is not a bigot."
"We go to all the marches," she said.
Even the tax day march?
Yeah.
Which nobody goes to the tax day march. But this is when we get our first glimpse of the dancing meme kid, who is a running gag in the movie and acts like he's the kid who once broke his teeth, and he kicks Hunter in the head by accident and breaks his own teeth again. Mm-hmm. That's what happens. This movie just at this point to me feels like, what if Superbad was better?
Yeah, it's almost in reverse. It's like the parents that are going through all the crazy stuff. But I have to call out. So yeah, during that whole argument over when Hunter's freaking out, he's like, you guys, like, she says something along the lines of, not everyone has a typical sexual preference. So I'm the same way. And Mitchell goes, "Sleeping with women that aren't your wife isn't a sexual preference." And Hunter's like, "Yes, it is. I prefer them," which is incredible. Shout out to Hunter.
And this is where Mitchell and Lisa and Hunter go to try to find Julie's boyfriend's house, because that's where the after party supposedly is. But instead, they all start spying on Julie's boyfriend's dad, played by Gary Cole, aka the Office's Lumbergh, aka a guy who was on, I believe, Mixed-ish and The Good Fight, and will be on NCIS season 19. Don't ask me how I know that. But he locks eyes with Sam while he's with his lover. And no, he locked eyes with Mitchell. And Mitchell, John Cena, freaks out. We locked eyes, and then it's... What is this, Mike? We talked about this a lot when we first saw it in
This was
theaters.
something we quoted all the time, and I somehow didn't write it down in my notes. But
Didn't he say he finished?
Yeah, we locked eyes and he finished. I believe. Yeah. But then.
Did he say that means, and then didn't Hunter say or whatever that means your souls are
Yes.
locked?
yeah.
Or that
Which
means
is true.
that means like his seed is locked on your soul forever.
Yeah.
It was some like you've been skeeted on him forever sort of metaphorical thing.
They are connected, which is also will come into play later.
And eventually, Lisa feels like she's really getting judged by a bunch of people, including Ron, the kid's dad, and his girlfriend. And Lisa says, "Stop talking to me like I'm someone who bombs abortion clinics." And I had to rewind and write that down because this is really good shit. But as I believe Sam says, or Kayla says, it's fuck o'clock. And Connor has raspberry macarons laced with DMT and Xanax. I had to look up what DMT...
I love his increasingly ridiculous edibles and various types of drugs he has on him.
That he made himself.
And I believe it was after Kayla had a bite of the macaroon where you see her eyes widen as if she's in a cartoon, much like how I felt watching Zack Snyder's Justice League.
For no related reasons.
For no real reason, just the movie was very impactful on me. But yeah, so now the parents are trying to get into the party, trying to grab their kids.
The same party that the kids are actually at because I think they found out from that guy's parents.
Yep.
And then they run into these guys. And one of them looks at John Cena and he goes, "You are literally the coppiest motherfucker I've ever seen."
Yep. Alyssa, do you want to walk us through the scene, because this is like the most iconic scene of this movie in my opinion.
Well, the parents walk up to the guys who are hosting the party, and they're like, no parents, no adults, get out of here. And they're like, we're not parents. He's like, then you're cops. And they're like, we're not cops. I'm not a cop. And then he says to John Cena, "You're literally the coppiest motherfucker I've ever seen. You look like you got your hair cut in the back of a squad car." And John Cena looks like every undercover cop on the subway.
100%.
Like, he looks like a thumb. He's wearing cargo shorts with like a button down tucked into it. He has his phone on a like belt holster, like a weird spinny one.
Yeah. There's a reason the first 5 films in his filmography, he's playing some sort of cop or a soldier, or that's who he is.
That's what he looks like.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like the only thing that's missing from the cop aesthetic is him wearing Timberland boots. The clean, never dirtied pair of
oh my
beige
god.
Timbs.
Stop. Or something Yankees.
Yeah, the Yankees cap.
If he had like the Yankees windbreaker pullover on, it's over. That's a cop.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But we cut before we get to the next thing that Alyssa's going to bring up. We cut to learning that Julie has literally been fantasizing about losing her virginity in the American Beauty format. She's and she believes it's a great romantic comedy. To which Austin goes, "Did you watch the whole thing?"
Pretty great. Pretty good stuff.
She clearly did not.
No. But Alyssa, what happens next with Mitchell? Poor, sweet Mitchell.
They need to prove that they're basically not narcs or cops. And they decide that they're going to make him chug a beer, the guy's hosting the party. And so, he's prepared for it. And then they say, no, we're butt chugging. Which is when you put... It's when you put we used to call it a beer bong. I guess it's like...
I thought a beer bong was something different.
No, you can call it's... We called it that in college, but we were in upstate New York and shit was weird up there. But it's a funnel. It's basically when you funnel a beer up your ass, which I don't even know. Listen, I've heard of vodka-soaked tampons up there. I've never heard of putting a whole beer up your ass.
I've done the beer, the funnel and the tube, just not in the back door.
In the butt. Yeah, because also, like, isn't it just like... Sorry, but like, isn't it just like a fleet enema? Like, isn't it just all gonna come right out?
Right. I don't see how you're actually ingesting.
You're just like
any of it.
power washing your asshole with beer. Like, it's gonna come right out.
Which Mitchell eventually does.
But Mitchell at first is really resistant to it, and he's like, why me? And then, didn't you have a baby out of there? Is what he says to Lisa. And Lisa says,
I also, yeah, no, go ahead.
I didn't have a baby out of my butt. And then Hunter goes, even I knew that.
I also just the imagery of seeing John Cena's bare ass, granted from a profile view, but it's pretty striking.
You see it full on later. This isn't the
legs,
last time you get John Cena ass in this movie.
Yeah, for sure. You get more later on, but just seeing how muscular and vascular his legs are, it's quite a sight.
It's funny because we've seen him not in this way because he wore jorts his whole wrestling career, really. So we're not used to seeing John, like maybe on his first night out when he had the whole slap cradle in the face bit, he had like the tighties on.
Yeah, he had trunks. Yeah.
No, but Connor is the chef, and this is what gets Mitchell to actually do it because the guys running the party reveal that Connor's nicknamed the chef, and Hunter goes, no, he could just be a South Park fan. Hey there, children. Like, he does a Isaac Hayes as chef impression to try to call him. And no, he's called the chef because he makes all the finest, deadliest baked goods, including an acid-laced something or other that almost killed a dude. To which case, Mitchell is basically puckered and ready to chug. And they use...
And, that's not even that big of a thing to put up your butt. I'm just saying.
No, but they don't have lip gloss. They don't have any lubricant. Like... Hunter wants to spit on it, and Sam's like, Mitchell's like, ew, your spit's gross. And he asks, no, Lisa, don't you have lip gloss? And they're like, okay. Spoiler alert, there's no lip gloss.
It's not lip gloss. That's like so tacky, like actually tacky material. Like, I can't imagine that being...
But it's what a dad would think.
Coconut oil would have been a better choice.
Yes.
In this scenario.
Yes, and this is something that parents would have, or dads like Mitchell would have no idea about because, yeah.
Had a lube an asshole? Yeah, probably not.
Not his own, at least.
No, I don't think any. That man's not a backdoor man.
No.
Mitchell is.
That's not sterile enough.
He is the Marine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's missionary. Yeah,
missionary Mitchell.
Missionary Mitchell.
He's not okay with butt stuff.
Nope.
That's confirmed.
I used to own that domain. But
butt stuff?
Justbuttstuff.com.
Oh, damn.
I let it lapse. I was using it as like a really low key, a really like lazy Tumblr that I barely added stuff to. It was just a joke because of that one movie about Freud when like it's all about spanking throughout the entire movie, and my friend and I just kept whispering to each other during the movie, butt stuff. And we were like bored by the movie but still kind of entertained. But Sam is ready to have sex. Sam is not looking for butt stuff. Although Sam does say early on in the movie, I don't know if we'll do anal on the first night, talking about her and Chad. So Sam is clearly thinking outside the box. But
or about the box.
Yep. Well, she is. Yes. Yep. It says, "Let's bone to Chad." Chad wants to keep his shirt on like the wholesome cinnamon bun he is. And then Kayla looks out the window, and because she's been eating the most drug-laced thing of her life, the sight of her dad about to butt chug a beer, she just accepts that as something you'd hallucinate.
Yeah, she's like, I am tripping so hard. And yeah, so so now we're kind of heading to like the most action-packed part of the movie. A lot happens here.
Packed?
So we find out, literally
you haven't
packed.
gotten to the packed, yeah.
We're getting to the pack stuff. So the butt chugging contest is happening. We find out that, I forget the kid's name, but Mitchell's opponent is not actually butt chugging. He's letting that stuff it's hiding under, it's going off to the side. It's not going up his butt. Mitchell's like, I'm staring at your asshole. You're not dilating. Hunter's trying to encourage Mitchell to, loosen up a bit. He starts finding some success. Then the cops show up. And what happens when the cops show up?
He lets it out. He lets it all out.
Yeah. Well, he backfires basically.
Yeah.
The tube stays in the picture, but Mitchell reacts, and the butt beer shoots over Hunter like a geyser. And then they run off a little bit, and Mitchell needs it taken out. And he pleads them to be gentle. To which Hunter goes, okay, 1, pull! Doesn't even
That's
2, 3.
do it.
Yeah. That's how you take a splinter out. I'm not sure that's how you take
all the suspense away, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just happy that he didn't. I'm not going to finish that sentence. But
if you do it at the 1, 2, 3, you clench on 3. You don't give him a chance to clench.
Oh.
I
was worried about what could have happened if he clenched. Good thinking. So Hunter's been there before. But Angelica is there for Sam and helps her carry a really sort of tired Chad. And I find it so funny that his name is Chad, considering what the Chad name means societally these days. Yeah. But she's there for Sam in this sort of like wispy princess of the night thing, but she has to go off me with her friends. And then we get the most butt-drunk John Cena ever, is what I'm calling him.
Yes, but it just I want to shout out my boy Rudy, the limo driver. There's another one of those tiny scenes where Rudy's got all the kids in the limo. He's like, all right, this night's not over. And he just yells, Duke's a hazard. And he tries to jump. He tries to roll over the limo. And he just busts his ass. And he's like, racist ass show anyway. It just gets up.
It's so good.
But yes, and then we're off to very drunk Mitchell.
He's encouraging Lisa, and Lisa's driving fast, and Lisa's getting a little too competitive, and she yells, winning is my bitch, because Lisa is that Karen. Mm-hmm. But then back in the limo, Sam pukes all over Chad. Mm-hmm. Poor Chad. To which everybody pukes. It's that one Family Guy scene, basically. And back in the car, Hunter, it seems, has a predilection for the fast and the furious parts of life. What does he ask? What does he talk about? An acronym?
Oh, so yeah, he asks. He says, yeah. So I've seen the Fast and Furious movies a bunch of times, and he asked. I think he asked Lisa, like, have you ever seen the Fast and Furious movies? She's like, I think I saw the Tokyo one and the one where The Rock punches a torpedo. So he's like, okay,
well, the good ones.
Yes, exactly. He's like, perfect. In a situation like this, I always ask myself, WWVDD. Lisa goes, what would Vin Diesel do? Hunter's like, yes, exactly.
Nobody else gets it ever. To which Lisa's like, really?
Yeah. And he basically comes up, he basically says, we're going to do a very classic Fast and Furious maneuver where you kind of drift around your opponent, look them right in the eye, and he goes, we're going to say it's all about the family, which is incredible. Incredible shout out to the Fast and Furious franchise.
Lisa doesn't like the idea. She goes, I don't know. And Hunter goes, no one's ever gotten that far with a slow and furious attitude like that.
And it just has to be said, we mentioned it before, but I found it so funny that I don't know if like Fast 9 was probably in production at this point. So I thought it was very funny that they referenced Fast and Furious in this film only for John Cena to star in a sequel to that film a couple of years later.
Like, I'm gonna just do a quick Google here, but John Cena officially joined Fast 9 in 2019. So
okay, so after.
Yeah, because Fast 9, I believe, only took about a year to produce, a year and a few months. I can't
imagine they take that long to create.
A little bit of post stuff, and maybe a lot of the. Yeah, no. My guess is that the next one will come out because they're not going to start filming it this year. I wrote about this today. They're going to start filming it next year, so expect it spring, summer 2023. So we're going to be waiting a while, but hey, there's going to be a Hobbs and Shaw 2, and there's the cast wants an all-women, the women of Fast and Furious to have their own movie without the men, which could bring Eva Mendes back. So who knows? But Ludacris said Helen Mirren has to be in it because Ludacris is a man of taste.
I like it.
I mean, I just want the chick from Tokyo Drift to be in it again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's way past due that she comes back. I mean, like, they literally managed to bring back everyone else. So, and Bow Wow. We need Bow Wow back in the mix.
Sure.
I think everybody should get a cameo at some point. Yeah.
But so speaking of Fast and Furious, so this plan, this high speed, dangerous driving plan of theirs doesn't really work out quite well, and their car ends up upside down, which leads to one of my funniest one of my favorite and most ridiculous scenes in the movie because they're all upside down. We're seeing them in the car, and there's Mitchell's in the back. It's just John Cena upside down with the most hilarious look on his face, and he's just like, "Well, that's the last of the ass beer." So one positive side to them getting flipped is that he's finally, he's clear.
It's out.
He's been cleaned out. Yeah.
It's a very cleansing experience, I bet.
Yes.
But this is what leads them to be crashed in the most unfortunate way. Perpendicular.
Yes.
It's like, you look at that, you're like, how? Only in a comedy.
Very, very phallic.
Yep. Also very Sword in the Stone kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
But Lisa's got a fear of dying alone, she's revealed. Afterwards, because they fall backwards. Mm-hmm. Hunter thinks he can lean them forward and it'll work, but Mitchell goes, "Wow, that's dark," when Lisa reveals her fear of dying alone, but then yells at her because he's wanting to hang out with her. Why won't he hang out? You're not alone. You have people who want to be with you. And then Mitchell reminds Lisa he's lost. What did Mitchell lose exactly?
I don't know. I feel like Mitchell's got a pretty perfect life, but Hunter, on the other hand, Hunter butts in and he's like, "You guys are fighting. You guys have ignored me all this time." He explains like there's more of the story we learn with Hunter and his ex-wife. He's not just this sleazeball that just cheated on his wife. We find out that he was cheated on way before that, and his wife stopped talking to him and all this. She slapped him around in a restaurant. Like there was a lot of bad stuff, and I already loved Hunter at this point, and I definitely, gained a lot of empathy for him here. And then it's a funny / very tender moment because he's finally spilling his heart out to them, and they completely cut him off when they, like, I forget what happens that triggers it, but then
nobody ever listens to him.
Yeah, they completely cut him off, start talking about something else. Then the car blows up, and they have to take a lift.
He knows the Lyft driver. Hunter knows the Lyft driver because that's not a good driver. But they're like arguing, and Mitchell yells, "I'm not a good team player. I just chugged a beer with my asshole." I mean, Shakespeare couldn't do better.
No.
In which case, we're back at Ron's house.
Whew, yes. What a moment.
Marco.
Someone else could take this because this is one of the.
So the lift brings them over to. They're trying to get more details, so they go to Austin's parents' place again because they'll probably know where the after party is, and yet again, because they want to steal Austin's dad's phone because Austin always texts his dad and tells him everything. And then it's basically the Jurassic Park scene because yet again, Mitchell has gone back into the house and he's hiding because it turns out Ron, Austin's dad, and Ron's wife, whose name I did not write down, bad on me, are playing naked Marco Polo. And it's like Ron's waggling limp cock is just walking right past Mitchell. And it's like, okay. And then you have this voiceover subtitles.
Alyssa, what happens here? Because Mitchell and Hunter quickly get wrapped up in this game of naked Marco Polo. What happens from there?
I want to point out first that that's Gina Gershon, who I love so much. She's incredibly hot, always has been.
Yeah.
But yes. What? She's from Bound. She's in that really cool lesbian movie. Yeah.
No, Bound is like
everything.
But she's awesome.
Oh, that's why I didn't recognize her because she was with a guy. Bound is just how.
You're like, nah. Yeah, but they're about to find each other, but not find each other in Naked Marco Polo because both John Cena and Ike Barinholtz, because I've now broken the concept that this is a movie, are in their house and they're about to walk into both of them. So they kind of have to play touchy-feely with this couple.
Yep.
As if John Cena is the woman and Ike Barinholtz is the man.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are some shots of penis that I did not expect to see.
And not just penis, but Hunter, Mitchell and Hunter are like really being awkward around the nudity of Gary Cole, and Mitchell mouths with subtitles, "My brother's gay and he's my best friend. I'm not homophobic," and to which Hunter mouths back, "My divorce attorney is gay and he's my best friend," and then he has another subtitle or two that are like incoherent.
Mm-hmm.
But then
we're like this,
and then
for the video watchers.
Yep.
And then I'm over here.
Yep.
They're like this.
Yep.
I'm over here.
So Hunter strips his top off because Gina Gershon wants to rip in, like, scratch Gary Cole's chest, his hairy chest, his hirsute chest, and then, but she doesn't just go for that. You said it right. She goes for the balls, and it's basically CBT for those who are familiar with that 3-letter acronym. And I'm not talking about cognitive behavioral therapy. It's just cock and ball torture at this point because the balls get squished so hard. It's like, this is how the grapes are made into wine in Italy. Like, it's really like stretched skin at this point. And that's when yells are stifled. Mitchell grabs the phone and they run out. They leave. And hopefully Ron and Gina Gershon have a good night thereafter. Who knows? Ron's not gotten the torture that he wanted, I guess, but maybe he'll get it later. But Kayla wants to help Julie's get the mood together because Austin tells Kayla, yeah, Julie's just sort of not feeling it. To which, did we skip the part with the 7-Eleven?
We did. We could quickly gloss over. That was basically right after all the vomit.
Yeah.
Rudy takes them to 7-Eleven.
But this is where Lisa and Julie have a really emotional yelling match on the phone because Lisa's discovered everything about what's wrong, and like this ruins Julie's mood. So back at the hotel, because they get to this like giant ass hotel and everybody's partying on a certain floor, but Julie's not in the mood. And Austin tells Kayla has a plan, and she sneaks into that room and just litters it with petals and decorates the TV in a way that I think the hotel's going to be angry about later. Who knows? What kind of rich kids rent out a whole floor of a luxury hotel?
Yeah, really.
But I guess somebody's parents got it for them. I don't know. Parents, they do understand sometimes, I guess. But Lisa sneaks into that room, and that after Kayla leaves it, because she's like, oh, that's probably where something's happening. She finds condoms and donuts and snacks and a heart made out of petals with red vines to make an arrow, because Julie's favorite candy is red vines. And in that moment, Lisa's like, what have I done? I fucked up. Like, I made a huge mistake. But only she found this out too late, because that's when Austin and Julie come in the room. And bless them all, it doesn't get too awkward. Julie hides under the bed, to which Mitchell goes on a warpath.
And at least one of my favorite scenes where, he's looking in every room trying to find Connor and Kayla. And there's this great little bit where he walks one of the rooms, there's kids doing like a satanic ritual, and he just screams at them. He says, play sports, and runs out. And I think next we get to Sam and Chad are finally in the room alone together. And she takes Angelica's advice of like, let's see what this is all about.
Put it in your hands.
Let's do a quick hands-on. And she does that. Chad is like the greatest thing he's ever experienced. Sam realizes like, this definitely is not for me. And he tells Chad that. Chad's cool with it, but it happens a little too late, because what happens next?
Look at all of it, Chad says. Like, Chad just... Like, Chad was he has been built up a lot, I guess. He says, Sam laughs her ass off at this, and Chad immediately puts his hat on. And she doesn't laugh at him in a humiliating way. She's just laughing at the spectacle of all of it. It's
actually a sweet moment, yeah.
But Chad putting his hat back on is the most adorable, like, he felt naked without it sort of moment.
And
he really is Patrick Stump.
He is. Very wholesome boy. He says, we're still virgins, but I feel different now.
So does she.
Good old Chad. That's
But
the real Chad energy that we should all aspire to have.
And then Kayla is about to hook up with Connor, but she yells, "Aw, shit." Because she realizes that she wants it to be special. Like, it sort of, in a way, doesn't come out of nowhere because this is such a silly spectacle in this hotel. Like,
and of course, Connor's super chill about it.
He's not a virgin, so he's like, "Oh, okay. You want to do some light journaling?"
Yeah. He's like, we could pencil it in for some time. But, they decide that they're not going to have sex, but they're going to try some other things.
Kayla is still down for the chef to get to the main course.
There you go.
I was wondering where that was going. You landed it. Perfect. But yeah, just before anything could happen, finally Mitchell comes in and immediately grabs Connor, tosses him across the room.
Into the wall.
Into the wall. And
he bounces off of it.
Yeah, Kayla's furious. She's like, what the hell are you doing? She's so worried about Connor. She helps Connor up. Connor, of course, is like, I'm actually totally fine. He's super chill about it. And then I think he eventually leaves. And then Mitchell, we're getting to the, every at this point in the movie, every parent is kind of having their moment with their kid. So we get Mitchell and Kayla's moment where Kayla's like, listen, you didn't have to save me. Like, you taught me to protect myself. Like, you know. And then, of course, the recurring bit of Mitchell's always crying and he tears up a bit. They have their sweet little moment.
But she also proves that she's the more mature one. She's like, why is sex even bad? Like, she really does the whole Hunter spiel from earlier in the movie. But, like, Mitchell starts crying, compares himself to Phil Jackson coaching the Bulls, because that's how proud he is. Remember, they're in Chicago. I'll frat that for a second, but this movie loves to remind you they're in Chicago.
Yeah, which they're definitely not in Chicago, but...
Montreal at best. But then Lisa gets to witness the most wholesome version of two kids about to hook up, because Julie just wants to dance with Austin. And he's like, naked? He goes, no, I want robes. I want to feel fabulous. And then, of course, Austin says, we're going to christen every corner of this room.
It was sweet. It was a sweet moment. And yeah, the whole thing was Lisa realizing, like, oh, this is actually pretty wholesome. I should let them do their thing. And she eventually leaves and lets that happen. And then we get the final kind of...
She electrocutes herself first, though. Like,
oh, yeah,
there's no punishment for the weary. It's very much like, you're going to get... Lisa gets some comeuppance, because it's like, okay, Mitchell has gone through hell, or at least butt stuff, depending on your preference, it is or isn't. Hunter has been basically emotionally drained, and now what's a little electricity?
He got kicked in the face like twice.
Oh yeah, Hunter ran into that breakdancing kid again.
He ran into the dancer again. He's like, "What the hell, man? What's your problem?" But yeah, speaking of Hunter, so then we get Hunter and Sam's moment. Alyssa, why don't you take this one? What happens here?
Well, they have a conversation, and I mean, it's not as, like, you kind of expect, you want him to have a moment where he's like, I'm not that big of a piece of shit, but he kind of, like, shows her that anyway. And she comes out to him. And it's lovely. It's really lovely. And then he asks to take a picture, and she stands up on the couch, and he's, like, not even really looking, and just looking at her. And it's like, oh, he can act a little bit.
Yeah.
That was very sweet.
Also, he breaks down. He breaks down crying because.
Yeah, well, yes.
Sam tells him that he hasn't told her mom yet.
She hasn't told anyone. He's the first person.
And that means more to him than years of parenting ever could.
And so now all the parents have kind of had their closure. They had their moments with the kids, so they decide to leave their kids be. They're at the hotel bar, just kind of talking and joking about it. And this is about where... No, yeah, go ahead.
So Hunter basically is like, he's really hit his maturity stride. And he knows that... so Mitchell and Lisa are finally going to hang out and have a drink. Because he's realized that Mitchell just wants to, like, be your friend or whatever. And Hunter's just going to, like, let them be. He's not going to, like, ask the same question 7 times. Relatable. But, like, and then he goes. And Mitchell looks at Lisa. Yeah, we should. They bring him back in. They order him a shot. They all toast. It's adorable. Like, but then it's the after party, and Sam has a conversation with Julie and Kayla. Alyssa, how did this go?
Oh, she tells them what she told her dad, and like two best friends, they just say, "I love you." And then they get a little funny and goofy because the beautiful, ethereal, gay, manic pixie dream girl of this movie comes over, and they're like, "Ooh," and just kind of like let her have her moment, and it was lovely. It was so nice. What were movies like this when we were kids?
I know. What the hell?
Like, the boys are nice. There's not even like a rapey dude in this entire movie. Like, there's sexual autonomy. There's full frontal male nudity. There's not a boob in this movie.
Yeah. It's like American Pie without all the stereotypes.
It's gender flipped
Yeah.
American Pie.
Yeah.
So lovely. It's so lovely. It is so much more touching than I thought it would be.
And that's the thing about this movie. It's like, you don't, they didn't want to market it. They didn't want to give it away, I guess.
No, they didn't.
Because if you were to give that away up front, I don't know if it works the same way.
Oh my god, you would have had so many people being like, "Not your PC agenda."
And yeah, that's what not using Facebook is for. But then Angelica and Sam have their kiss. Everybody dances. Sam's been given a gold glitter cape. They ripped off some decoration from the wall, so she, just like Angelica, has a cape, and it's nice. And now, cut to some mornings thereafter, the parents are all friendly now, and the kids are going to go on a road trip. And looks like Lisa's accepted Julie going off to UCLA. And the kids get in the car, and Connor's driving, because even though they know he's a giant, like, this is how progressive this movie is. It's accepted. Yes, the drug czar, like
is driving.
Yeah, the chopped 420 edition chef is running the damn car. Like, shout out to Ron Funches.
He's a Renaissance man.
They would never let me get in the car with that man. First of all, not even because they were worried about us doing drugs. My dad would be like, "He gets pulled over and he's got all those drugs in the car." Like, I can't.
Nope.
Yeah.
But
they've really made leaps and bounds. They weren't going to let their kids fuck, and now they're like, "Yeah, take DMT and drive cross country. Who cares?"
Well,
I don't think they told their
trip,
parents about the DMT cookie. I think there's some...
That's true.
But we get
I
the
don't
great
know.
final bit where the girls are group texting again, and they're doing...
Lisa's been accidentally included on the call. Why did Lisa get included on their group text?
Yeah, very weird. So Lisa sees these, and they're alluding to doing drugs and having unprotected sex. And then, of course, the girls finally reveal they were just messing with them. Send them a final "I love you." Very sweet moment. And that is Blockers. And we do have a great post-credit scene. You guys can take this away.
Alyssa?
You want me to do it?
Yes.
Well, John Cena, he wants a second go at making Marco Polo with his wife, who deserves it. Yep. And I gotta be totally honest with you. I walked away thinking it was over, and then I kind of half doubled back in, and I was drinking a lot of wine. And that's Kayla that comes back, right? Or it's
no, that's Kayla's younger sister, I think. Cause
that's what I thought, but it was a baby.
I think this is it looked like an older version of. It didn't look like Kayla's same age though. I was like
continuity error. Is there a third kid that we didn't see, or was this 16 years after, and this has now become a tradition?
Yeah, it didn't look like Kayla. It looked like a freshman year high schooler. Like, it didn't.
She had her nose pierced.
Yeah, it was.
And I don't think Kayla
Wikipedia
did.
says it was Kayla. Wikipedia, which is never wrong, says it was Kayla that walked in.
Okay, let's
so
believe Wikipedia. Yep.
But either way, yeah.
She walks in on them doing it. And we don't get to see John Cena full frontal, which is really disappointing, but he probably didn't want to become known as the guy who'll do full frontal in Hollywood, because then Vin Diesel probably would have made someone drive a car into his dick or something.
Oh god.
I mean, running over something, but
The Rock just punches his dick.
The audio
Fast 9
cuts.
in
Yeah,
theaters tomorrow.
the audio cuts out when Mitchell asks his wife, "Grab my balls really hard," like, and it's like that's like okay, go for it, dude. I
Hell
guess
yeah.
he wants to. He really wants to experiment, and that is Blockers. That is
Blockers.
really, I think, the best of the movies that we've seen so far of John Cena's career. So, Alyssa, we have a scale of ratings on this show where we rate movies with 1 to 5, or 0, technically, to 5 knuckle shuffles based around Mr. Cena's, also, a Fast 5. You ever heard what that's about?
Oh, no.
Yeah, the first time I heard that joke, I'm never going to forget that. So, what would you rate Blockers as without knowing what the rest of the movie ratings are? How would you, in a 5-star scale?
I'm usually pretty picky. I don't like to get. Actually, that's a lie. I give a lot of shit a 5. I gave Jennifer's Body a 5.
Jennifer's Body deserves an Oscar. Jennifer's Body deserves
Body's a 5. I would say this is a solid. You can't do halves.
Oh, we do halves. We do halves. Yeah.
4.5.
Yes.
I agree with that
completely.
completely. I was going to suggest that. Because right now we have Bumblebee at 4, because it is way better than it had any right to be. Also because the casting is great. Pamela Adlon really is funny as the mom. And like Haley Steinfeld just sort of knocked it out of the park on that one. I almost deducted a point for not as much John Cena as I would have liked in that movie. But yeah, Blockers is a full 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Part of why that's, I mean, it's just a great comedy period. It's hilarious. It's like surprisingly progressive. It's so much fun. But especially in the context of this show, talk about it as a John Cena film, I feel like this was the movie that like really kind of took the chains off of what Cena has normally been in movies. So like he's like the straight military man for so long. He did a few kids movies, but this is his first time doing like a filthy R-rated comedy where he could really do whatever he wants and showed so much personality. We already knew he was funny, but I think he really got to fully flex that muscle. And it was just such a great performance by him, I thought.
I think this is the movie that gets him Fast 9 and Suicide Squad. Maybe he got Fast 9.
Suicide Squad 100% is why. Because he's playing the same guy he's always going to play in Fast 9, you know?
Yeah.
But Suicide Squad, this movie definitely, they saw him in this and they were like, we're going to write a joke about a butthole in Suicide Squad and he's going to make it.
We're going to write a joke about a beach full of dicks and he's going to be okay with it.
He's gonna make the connections between all of his movies, you know, buttholes. Fast and Furious.
It's all connective tissue. There's it tain't where it's not. But the thing is, that is the end of the road for today. So Alyssa, as again, a joy to have you on. People can follow your Twitch streams as they should at twitch.tv/ALYSSAMERC. Follow her now. I spell it all out because I often hear people try to phonetically or just say a whole name and a last name. Yeah. But like people have accents. People can't always hear correctly.
And a lot of people spell Alyssa a bunch of different ways, unfortunately.
There is divergence.
Yeah, a lot of extra Y's and S's and I's.
Well, I'm named after Milano, so if you're ever curious about the spelling, it's the same way Milano spells it.
Gotcha. I like those cookies. Yes, and you are ALYSSA_MERC on Twitter, then ALYSSAMERK on Instagram. Follow her everywhere.
Someone took it with a C.
Well, you gotta murk them. You gotta murk them.
I know. I gotta murk them.
That's MURK for those at home. But this was a joy as always. We will be back next time with, excuse the car honking outside. The city is loud. But we will be back next time with a little movie called Playing with Fire, where it's a very odd family movie. It's very, like, you think this is a fever dream. This movie was probably made for all the hallucinogens and legalizations. Then we will be covering Fast 9, but a little ways from now, because we want people to have time to have seen it. So we are locked in for July 10th with Adam Ismail from Jalopnik. He's never worked at any other websites. He is just purely of Jalopnik. And we can't wait to see him. And we will soon be announcing our guest for the Suicide Squad. Just trying to make sure everybody can do the dates that we have suggested. But Suicide Squad will be easier to watch because it will be on HBO Max. So y'all don't have to go to theaters if you're not comfortable. Yes, HBO Max keeps finding reasons to get people to watch because clearly Batman doesn't give cunnilingus. Remember, Harley Quinn season 3. It's coming sooner or later, even if Catwoman isn't.
Yeah, it's going down for sure.
I'm yelling timber. In that case, see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.